Why does it feel so cold inside my heart tonight? Be my man is what she said. It's not just the wind that's moving around tonight. But quick and clean don't make it right.
We're at a spot that Lyndall and I get to a bit for a number of reasons. If you do a bit of digging, eventually you'll get a little bit of gold. And it's a great spot to light a fire and have a bit of a rest of a Sunday afternoon. So that's what we're doing here today. Now the old timers, they worked up the gully we're in and had a sandstone bottom, and they cut a sluice trench straight down the centre and worked both sides. So when they worked their stone into the sluice drain and then through the big stone back out and let the water wash the bottom, and then they cleaned up the bottom of the sluice race, because the sluice race was cut straight through sandstone and was perfectly clean. When they turned the water off, they could practically sweep it back and get all the gold. So that's the way they worked this area. And they were working back to the bedrock, that's sandstone and that's sandstone, and they would scrape it right off. But as you can imagine, when they were scraping it off and it wasn't all flat, every so often they'd miss a little bit. And they've missed a little bit here. I'm confident that it's gold. And it's in this clay, and it's trapped between the two sandstone edges here. And it's a natural trap. And anyone that's worked in a creek will tell you that's it. If gold's travelling along with, and all this gold's been laid down by the water, it's not reef gold, it's alluvial gold that's been carved by the water. That's a great spot for it. So when this was bare sandstone and all these rocks have travelled over it, all these sandstone rocks and bits of ironstone and everything else have travelled over it, it's trapped in there, got a nice little bit of clay on top of it. They've come in with their scrapers, scraped it off like that, thought they were done. But they left a bit there somewhere. See, we're right on the sandstone, but it's in this crevice where these roots are. There's a little bit of gold for us. When I say us, don't ride in and expect your share, but it's right there. And so you can see how difficult it would be to clean every crevice out. They used scrapers and they cleaned everything back to the bare bedrock, but you can still understand how, especially right up on the edge here. See, we're right up, that's as far as they worked there. We're right up on the edge. So the lower they were in the ground, and there he is, look. Can you see that there? Not sure you can, he's right at the end of my finger. And there he is. Nice little bit of gold. And the simple reason he's there, well, the reason he's there in the modern day is I've shifted 2 foot of overburden off to get to him. I've shifted, when they worked an area, they put the ground that they'd worked back behind them or back in front of them, depends whether they're working up or down. So naturally enough, if you come in here with your detector, you're not going to get that at 2 foot, 2'6". But if you take the ground back, get back to the bedrock, and the other benefit of working, taking the stone heaps out, every so often you'll get a stone like that that's made up of composite stones, and there'll be a bit in it as well. So that's our first bit for the day. I tried to beat Lyndall before. Lyndall was lighting the fire and I tried to beat her. I went the early crow and it turned out to be a bit off the, little bit of pick shaving or something like that. But that's our first bit for the day. And the reason he was there, as I said, if you worked in a creek, you'd understand what a nice little crevice that is. The clay's trapped him in there. He's come in there, got trapped, got buried. They've cleaned off the best they could, but they're doing it every day of their bloody working life at that stage of their life, and they can only do so much, so they left that fella for me.